What's up? It's Andy Grammer with Jag.
Hi, this is Carly Rae Jepsen, and you're listening to Jag.
Hey everybody, it's Joe Jonas hanging with Jag.
This is Heather Knox with the hottest Jag I've ever seen.
Ryan Seacrest with Jag.
It's B.O.B. checking in with my homie Jag. So much swag with my homie Jag.
It's the Jag Show podcast.
Welcome in, I am John Jag Gay, and I'll start with this week's tip, which is take care of your body. I don't just say this because I'm now 40, but I've actually been having some issues with my neck for a few years, largely because of being rear-ended in December 2016, March 2017, and getting into another car accident in July 2019. I swear I'm not that bad of a driver. But now that I'm 40, I really need to start taking better care of myself. I finally got in to see this renowned neck therapist this week, and he gave me some ideas after really working me over pretty good, and I've been in physical therapy all month too. And now I've ordered an ergonomic desk chair that's going to keep me sitting upright and not slouching while I'm recording and editing for hours at a time. And I've downloaded an app that reminds me to stand up and stretch every 30 minutes. Anybody who's edited a podcast can tell you can just lose the hours without even thinking of it. The app that I downloaded is called Stand Up. So that's my tip for the week. Take care of yourself. You only get one body. Okay, back to the biggest story in podcasting that we touched on last week, and that is that Apple still is pondering a subscription model for podcasts and bundling it into their Apple Plus platform. I still think this is a terrible idea, and I'm going to give you the opposite side of it, and that is NBC, the TV network. You may have seen them talking about their new Peacock video streaming platform. Well, there's two ways to do it in TV. There is AVOD, which is advertiser-supported video on demand, or SVOD, subscription video on demand. Now, subscriptions work great for companies like Netflix, but how many things do you subscribe to? Do you really want to keep adding $5 and $10 onto your monthly bills every single time you on another platform? So Peacock made the decision to focus largely on the ad-based model. Now, if you really want to go ad-free and you're not a Comcast subscriber, it'll cost you just $5 a month. But the ad-supported version is going to have less than 5 minutes of commercials per hour. Compare that to 15 per hour on traditional TV and 8 per hour on Hulu. And they're also going to have caps that make sure the ads aren't repetitive, and they've got big advertisers already, like State Farm, Target, Unilever, Eli Lilly. They've all signed on to be advertisers on Peacock. So as I said last week, there may be a market for ad-based as opposed to subscription-based, and this could translate to audio as well. I will gladly sit through some ads if it keeps my content free and my monthly bills down. Probably going to take some time to sort all this out, but the pandemic certainly accelerated the growth of all this video on demand. Got a couple links in the show notes that discuss this whole idea, as well as our other stories we'll cover this week. Speaking of free platforms, Spotify's Anchor platform is buying ads in podcasts, and the most popular advertiser is Anchor and Spotify. Apparently, they're ponying up the dough to advertise in shows on their own platform to boost their numbers. Article this week from The Verge. In terms of paid podcast hosts, Pod News is reporting that The Daily and The New York Times have switched their host from Art19 to Simplecast. I'm personally happy to hear this. Simplecast has long been my host of choice, including for this show. I actually have a referral link to join Simplecast in the show notes. Told you previously about the protests outside of Niagara Falls podcast studio over what they allege is hate speech going on in podcasts being recorded there. Update on that story. The podcast has been evicted. A study from Westwood One and Magellan AI shows that podcast advertising bounced back strong in Q3 last year after the initial pandemic dip. And speaking of Magellan AI, they've got their list of the top 15 podcast advertisers for the month of December 2020. Headspace was number 6. BetterHelp was number 1. This tells me two things. 1, we could all use some talk therapy after the events of the last year. And 2, maybe the stigma around talk therapy is finally starting to ebb away, and that is a good thing. One of the biggest questions that potential clients ask me is about making money from your podcast. It can be done, and one of my podcast mentors, Stacy Sims in Charlotte, North Carolina, she has a free quiz to see if you are ready to cash in and make money on your podcast. Link to that in the show notes. And finally, I'd like to thank Steve Stewart and the Podcast Editors Club. They have asked me to present at PodFest, the virtual seminar in early March. I really enjoyed going to the conference as an attendee last fall, and I'm excited to do a little bit of a demo of Adobe Audition as editing software. Info on Podfest as well as my affiliate link in the show notes. I appreciate you. As always, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll talk to you next week. Later.
Thanks for listening to the Jag Show podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe in Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. For help with your podcast, find Jag on social media at Jag in Detroit or on the web at jagindetroit.com.